Can you believe that this used to be a carport and now it's turning into one of the most compelling spaces in the house? Turning this into a bedroom wasn't about making it look good, but whether it made sense for the project. I'll walk you through the design and the options that I explored and why this move elevated the project's mid century roots. Renovations are actually one of my favorite types of projects. Not because they're easy, because I could tell you right now they're not, but because they're full of constraints, unknowns, and also real life decisions. The thought of repurposing something old to give it a new and meaningful life really excites me. And I also love seeing the before and afters because that's a lot of fun. You could see the change immediately. So, if you're interested in seeing how an architect thinks and the tools behind those decisions, then you're exactly where you're supposed to be. Let's take a look at how I'm designing this mid century ranch into a true portfolio piece.
I've decided this house will function as a rental property for a couple of reasons. First, I find joy in knowing that I could use my talents as an architect to create environments that others can enjoy and experience. I do bring a unique perspective to spaces I touch, and that isn't something you could simply buy off the shelf. And having a source of income from the rental is an important and appealing factor. Because this home is designed for others rather than for myself, the priorities for the house shift. Decisions are less guided by personal preference and more by usability and value. And since the project is funded by my own money and not HGTV money, budget is a real constraint. So, being impactful with the least amount of work will be a guiding principle. Here's what I mean. Rooms marked with an X in green will have no significant change. The other areas labeled in gray will go through a more robust transformation. The clouded areas in red show extent of demolition. Living and kitchen are planned to be a contiguous space, as I shared. More flow, access, and spatial clarity are important things for this consideration. And views play an important role in setting up the layout for the kitchen and dining. Here, I'm hinting at reconfiguring the kitchen, but I'll share more on that later. Circulation remains in the center below the ridge, and it makes sense to continue the path to access the new addition here. I'll add an opening into the existing masonry wall to create an entrance into the addition at the old carport area.
Earlier, I had mentioned this will be a rental property. So, by identifying the main purpose of this house is actually one of the first steps in something that's called programming. Programming is often overlooked, especially on smaller projects where the budget is low and the timelines are fast. But it's so important that you don't skip this step because it sets the foundational rules for your design moving forward. Any project you take on should start with a programming phase. What is programming exactly? Well, you start by asking a couple of these questions. For example, the first one could be something like, what do I want to accomplish with the project and why do I want to do it? The second one could be, what are the facts and givens of the site and the actual building? The third one is, how do I achieve this goal? And then the last one could be, what are my needs and how can this fit within my budget? So let me explain exactly what that means. Hawthorne was about creating a project that sparks joy and creating an experience for people to enjoy. I also wanted to make sure that the look and the feel of the building maintained its mid-century roots because I wanted to honor that history. And the last one was to make sure that it's an income producing asset. So, whatever amenities that I provided, I needed to make sure that it's accommodating for whoever's going to be in there. Basically, what do I already know about the house? So, I know that it sits on a quarter-acre lot, that the existing footprint is about 1,600 square feet, and that there are property lines and neighboring buildings, which will help me plan for how far I could build up to and plan for views. I also know that the property has easements and utility lines coming from the backyard, with a connecting alleyway. The alleyway is something that I could start thinking about in terms of how to create a secondary entrance into the building and how to sequence that. The house is also in a dry and arid climate, which is helpful to know because then I could start to think about what kind of building materials to use. For Hawthorne, there's a couple of goals that I want to hit, but then the main primary one would be adaptability. So that means how can the space evolve and change while still maintaining comfort for today's use? You already know that I'm spending $165,000. So this is the perfect time to list out my functional requirements. What are my space needs? What are the adjacency requirements? The elements that are a little bit more quantitative.
I'm dashing in the original footprint of the carport for reference to show you how much the building's grown. Since there's enough space on the property, I'm extending the width by about 7 feet to achieve a better layout and for balanced proportions. I'm also thinking through what I'll do with the existing masonry storage room. Should I keep it or remove it? I'll show you the two options I explored before landing on the final design. For option 1, access to the addition remains at the center of the west wall. By studying the existing layout, you'll see that the bathrooms are located in the northern half of the house. I'm taking cues from the layout and wondering if it makes sense to locate the ensuite bathroom in this pattern. I've always found that having a laundry room in one of the bigger bedrooms to be incredibly useful. So I've decided to locate it next to the bedrooms so that plumbing lines can be minimized. Access to the laundry and bathroom will be along the ends of the south wall. I'll also need a closet and storage room, so I'll group these volumes together. The bed can be placed on the southern half. Although this is feasible, there are two problems with this option. The first one is that the existing sewer line runs along the south. If the new bathroom is located on the north, that's a long path to tie in a new sewer line to the old one. This translates to more labor, more material, and more money. The second reason is I'm removing the old storage room, which can be used to my advantage if I design smartly. Option 2. Again, access to the addition remains the same, at the center of the west wall. For this option, I'd like to explore how to retain what's already in the house and use it as a feature or asset, aka celebrating the home's history. Retaining the shell of the masonry storage room is an option I'd like to explore, but more importantly, because demoing it feels wasteful. Why not be creative with how it's programmed and find ways to expose its natural material as a finished surface? I'm taking the edges of the storage room and using it as a datum to lay out spaces. The storage room would become a bathroom, laundry room to the left. I'm also busting the east wall of the storage to create a bigger bathroom. It's the same logic as option 1, where the closet will adjoin the bathroom and laundry. The bed can be placed on the north wall. There's a shorter run for the plumbing trench, so that's way better. And here are 3 opportunities for window placements, either north, west, south, or maybe on all of them. Here's where I landed with the primary suite. Exploring the earlier options helped clarify the direction and led me to a layout I felt really confident in. The key takeaways were to locate wet spaces near the existing sewer lines and to retain the masonry storage room. I challenged myself to find a way to repurpose that space, and the solution came together so nicely. Construction lines running north-south and east-west helped establish clear alignment and proportions in the room layout. I'm drawing a rough footprint for the addition, but as I'm doing that, my head's thinking about material changes and transitions of old and new. The addition is new, so I'll recess the wall to emphasize what's modified versus original. This break will also create a dimensional interest along the north and south facades by playing with shadow and form. The door into the suite is located on the north wall at the end of the hallway. I really appreciate spaces that give you a pause before you spill into the main area. And that's what's happening here. North wall and then bed. You continue south to enter the bathroom, which used to be the storage room. Shower to the right, vanity with double sinks on the south wall, and toilet on the north side. Here's an opportunity to create windows for views and daylighting. There will be a large picture window right above the sinks to look at the garden views in the morning while getting ready for the day, and a small slot window in the shower to provide additional daylighting. To the left of the bathroom is a perfect spot for a reading nook, where I'm planning for another picture window and a built-in bench. This is a peaceful area to lounge while overlooking the garden outside. The west wall may be a good spot for the bed, so I'll plan for clear story windows to bring in natural light while maintaining privacy, so there's no direct visibility outside. The existing carport beam had to be replaced due to its age and the expanded footprint. A new ridge beam will be introduced, structurally supporting the extension while also defining the roof form. This beam will bifurcate the clear story and extend outward to meet the exterior elements. Let's head over to the north wall where the design will take cues from the south. I'll build out a closet that's accessed by an opening with a barn door. And to the left will be a smaller and shallower nook, just like the reading nook directly opposite. That's being planned as an office area with a built-in desk and shelving above. And finally, here's an idea for a covered parking area. A deep overhang that will match the roofline elevation and provide enough space for 2 cars. This was a good place to put back a carport for dedicated parking, and because of its location, I did not want to add any windows along the north elevation. Would you like to see cars from your bedroom? I didn't think so. Okay, let's step back and go back to the bathroom. This elevation sketch will give you a better idea of my layout. Reading nook to the right, bedroom to the left. A wing wall will separate the shower from the lavatories. I'm building a shallow shelf in the shower to hold products. The slot window will align directly above the shelf, picture window above the vanity, and a suspended ceiling mirror above each lavatory. Here's an accent drawing of the south elevation of the bathroom. So in the shower, we have the product shelf here, slot window above, and the vanity to the right. Now let's switch views and walk through the current project site. So currently it's in construction with the framing nearly being complete. That's the bathroom, water lines, bathtub in, and now looking in one of the bedrooms. Here's where the masonry wall got penetrated for the new access point to the bedroom. This is where the door is, looking into the north elevation. You can notice up here on the ceiling where the line of the old and the new structure for the carport used to exist. The darker area is the old one, the lighter wood area is the new. It was something cool, I just wanted to point that out. A lot of the sheeting put to a clear story on the west wall. And now we're turning to look at the reading nook with the picture window, masonry storage wall. There is a finished paint that's been applied. So what I'm going to do is scrape that all off and expose the masonry being bit to use it as a finished surface within the space. There's also a couple areas within the house that I'm going to try to use the same strategies. So there's a unity, such as the wall to the left, where this is the original exterior west wall and the brick will be exposed and left as is. We're walking towards the bathroom. The left is a laundry closet where you'll see the hookups to the machines, hot and cold water valves, and the electrical recessed out the box. shower behind that. As you turn, toilet is here, and the opening for the picture window are above the sinks.
You might have already heard from one of my shorts, but the house is finally under construction, which is so exciting for me. It's been a process full of highs and lows, with a couple pieces of drama from the subs and managers, but overall, it's been pretty good. I will say though that communication is so important to the success of any project because you just want to make sure that whatever information or intent you have, it's clearly understood by the people you're working with. You don't want there to be surprises down the line because they thought you meant X when you really meant Y, or you don't want there to be any disagreements or just uncomfortable situations between you and your team. So, even though you try to make each and every one of your projects successful as time goes on, there's always going to be something that, gets in the way, but you just have to make sure that you find a solution and you move forward because at the end of the day, no one's perfect and you're always going to run into situations because that's just life. Thank you for sticking with me till the end. I'll catch you in the next video where I talk about the kitchen and the living room. See ya.